Still missing the library. It's me. Kurt's supposed to be here. Yes. I should text him because you got his number. We were gonna put them all up there, right?
Yes.
And then just kind of walk that way.
Yeah, I think that would work.
At the golf course last time, the surveyor was sitting here and it's looking at top.
Yeah.
And that's senior, right?
When I was over there, just put the 3 chairs there.
Yes.
And just have them all 3 sit at the same table. I know the microphone is set up for that, but.
Well, and they can move. I think so. Because then, like I said, the last time we were having issues, some people weren't talking very well. So on our live, we're having a hard time hearing.
Okay. The issue is the
Pick up the leg and then I'll take it off.
I don't think we can hook up the mic, so they'll have to share microphones. But. Right.
Always just situate them all together.
Yeah.
Sorry about doing this the last one. don't know how they hook up. I was thinking, all right, we can just use the two. Is that what you're thinking?
Huh?
Or
Well, it's
maybe-
just a simple unplugging and replug over there, but there's
Cis-
plenty of
Cisco's
ports.
here. He may know if we can do that. I changed it at the last instance, Cisco. Oh, we can get them all on there. That's good. All right, we're good then. We're just not gonna walk around much.
Let me get those carpets so we're not dangerous.
There should be nobody walking over there too, so it should be pretty good. That work? I'll take the end over there in the middle. Now, okay, thank you. I don't know if you I was thinking through this thing. I think the library foundation is the oldest foundation out of all three. And then the museum, and of course, the zoo is the most, the kid group. They did, yeah, they had one, but I don't know how it was. We go all the way back to the Carnegie Library and the library foundation. So it goes back into the 1800s. The library and but, okay.
Are you just gonna be sitting down there, Jeff?
Huh?
You're not going to use this?
I'm not gonna use that, yeah, I'm gonna sit down. Just, we'll walk through this way and we'll see how this all goes. The button has to be pushed, the green light would be on if the microphone is working.
Test, test.
And Sarah's got the
Hello.
Facebook Live.
Hello.
Sarah's got-
Testing, testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here we are, okay. And then, of course, these cameras here are on us as well, too. And so we got a crew back there in the back with those as well. Are we ready? We're after 5:30, and so, okay. And I'm not sure where to look, but good evening, everybody. Oh, you want to give me a time? All right. Good evening, City of Roswell. Welcome to tonight's public forum. Our forum tonight is on foundations and the importance of the foundations to our success with a lot of our services that we provide to our community. Tonight I have some wonderful people with us. Really quickly, I probably should say, in case you haven't met me yet, I'm Joe Nebb. I'm the city manager for the City of Roswell. And with me tonight is Cindy Torres, the executive director of the Roswell Museum and Art Foundation. Adrienne Ragsdale, vice president, I believe now, or past president? Okay, for the Friends of the Library. And of course, Carrie Moore at the other end of the table for the Friends of the Spring River Zoo Foundation. And thank you, ladies, for all coming and helping talk about this important thing of foundations and how they support the services of the city and how we get so much more done when we have that community support and the citizens backing. So tonight we're gonna walk through just a few questions. I think maybe before we get started, we can let everybody have something just to add about the foundation. Tell us a little bit about the foundation. Tell us how you were established, or whatever you wish to add within this whole conversation to make sure that the citizens of Roswell and the people watching understand who you are. So do you want me to start on this end, Cindy, or? Sure. Okay.
Sure, I will start. The Roswell Museum Foundation was established by about 8 community members, including the museum director, in 1987. We received our nonprofit status in 1990, and the purpose was to support the Roswell Museum by purchasing art, by supporting things that the city was unable to support for whatever reason, and supporting the staff on travel and enrichment and education, and capital outlays also. We are a supporting organization, which means every dollar that's donated to us can only go directly back to the museum.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Adrienne?
Hi, so the Roswell Library Foundation was started back in the late 70s. He was then State Representative Paul Kelly. By Mr. Kelly, the Carnegie Library was exploding with books and very overcrowded. And so Representative Kelly formed a group to purchase land where the new library is now, or where the library that we know in Roswell is. And so like I said, it's been around since 1978, and we have been going strong to help fund the programs of our library.
All right, wonderful. Carrie, Friends of the Spring River Zoo.
So Friends of the Spring River Zoo was established sometime way before me. Nobody seems to know when, but we reestablished the 501c3, our nonprofit status, back in 2017, 2018. Our whole goal and purpose is to build a better zoo. We do a lot of fundraising for capital outlay projects to help fix the enclosures, to bring in new animals so that we can keep the zoo more up to date and modern. It does take a lot of time. Moving animals around is not as easy as people seem to think, so everything we do takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do. Right now we're a very small board. I think there's like 7 of us. So we're always looking for new board members to help. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it.
All right. And we'll just take turns down the line, right? And then this will make the conversation so that everybody gets an opportunity to start out as well too. Can we talk a little bit about some of the challenges of the foundation? I think, Carrie, you just mentioned about the challenge with memberships. I believe all of us are facing some of that. I think we're facing some of those challenges with funding. Things have gotten a little bit tougher with COVID because just everything moves differently as well too. So how about we go into the question of what are some of the biggest challenges that are facing the foundations? And so what do you see with the Friends of the Spring River Zoo? What do you see as some of our biggest challenges?
So we definitely have a hard time getting members, volunteers. We have in the past gone to the zoo and helped paint fences, do cleanup days, and again, it's usually a handful or 2 handfuls of us who seem to go in and do everything. It always works better when there's more numbers. It's a lot faster and a lot easier and a lot more fun. I can give you that one. COVID has definitely made things difficult. We haven't been able to have any fundraising events for, 2 years? We just had to cancel one last weekend, which is still in reflection from COVID because breweries and businesses still are lacking in staff, product availability, and it kind of hurts when we can't have our events that we need. Which for us, the events is what gives us the funding to be able to fix the enclosures. We were able to help raise the funds for the mountain lion or the
Yes.
big cat exhibit. Right now, the goal is to help with the bear enclosure because we're trying to knock out those priority items. But again, without being able to hold the fundraising events, it's very difficult.
Sure. Adrienne, with the library, what are some of the biggest challenges that the foundation's facing?
Well, the Roswell Library Foundation has been very fortunate that we have been established as a nonprofit for over 40 years, and we have been the recipient of some bequests by members of our community after they've passed. We're very, like I said, we're very fortunate. We have a very strong foundation. As with any organization, we're always excited when we can obtain more funding. That means we get to do more programs and more improvements. But as far as, I would say our biggest challenges are just awareness and, there's other organizations. We have Friends of the Library. We have several groups that support the library in different ways, and their funding can go to different programs that a foundation is restricted to. So I would say our biggest challenge is just letting everybody know that we're here, we're what we do, and like I said, we're fortunate to have some nice funding.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. Cindy, what are those biggest challenges that you're facing in your foundation?
Well, I would say right now one of our biggest challenges is we have a lot of great supporters, but our donor base is aging, and so we are losing some donors. A lot of the second generation don't necessarily come back to Roswell or come back to New Mexico because they find it easier to make a living in other areas. And so we don't have that second generation coming in. Now we do have some really strong, great young board members. They just don't have as much time because they're trying to raise their families and trying to make a living. Our bylaws allow for a 30 board of directors. We currently have about 15. Which is the lowest I've seen since I've been with the foundation, and I've been with it since 2008. So we are in need of board of directors right now. They always bring enthusiasm and fresh ideas, and it is a commitment. Not everybody has the time for it. A lot of people think it's a financial commitment that they don't have the ability for, but it's both. And everybody gives in their own way. Some people do support the foundation financially, but others can only support with their time, and we appreciate both equally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with those challenges, one of the adages that come to my mind as well too is that rising tide raises all ships, right? Yeah, we're in the desert and I'm talking about water, but it's all right. But the whole concept is that we lean on each other in order to be successful. So if the membership is strong within all the foundations, the same way with the city, if I have all my employees and everything, we're able to help each other get through that. It's not that we're, it's not the old adage of the church workhorse that, as long as the workhorse is there doing all the work, we get everything done. I think it's the division of that workload, and what you're talking about with we're needing more members to understand the importance of what those foundations do and bring them on board with that as well too. I mean, you got a lot of strong individuals on those foundations, but we have to kind of turn that corner too, right? And find those new ones and find out how to get them in there, because I think it's very important to recognize that Roswell would not be Roswell without the museum, without the library, without the zoo. And I think that is very important for everybody to know. And we're not asking for anybody to fix it. What we're asking for is everybody to help us. And I think that's one of the biggest keys with that. Let's talk a little bit about the successes that maybe recent successes or past successes that each one of the foundations have had. And we're going to start with the library a little bit, and let's talk about those successes that we've seen from the Friends of the Library and what we've been doing in Roswell.
One of our biggest priorities at the library is to create programs for children, and that's where I believe we have our biggest successes, is whether it's a summer reading program, a special event. I know that Enid and her staff create, you see them on Facebook, like different, anytime there's any kind of holiday, whether it's a traditional holiday or a, today's National Pie Day or whatever, they seem to have something clever going on at the library that is an attraction for children. It's low or usually no cost to attend and participate. And I think it's really exciting to see how many young people in our community are excited about not just reading, but going to the library and participating in the different programs. We have redesigned the children's area and brought in some new equipment and learning tools to make that area more fun and hands-on and interactive. It's not just books. It's very regional based too. It's very mountain and desert, and there's there's a little UFO component too in Roswell. So I would say our biggest successes are our attractions and our ways that we can serve our children in our community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Cindy, what about some recent successes with your foundation?
What popped into my mind as successes is of course the building of the Bassett Auditorium, the Patricia Bassett Auditorium, and the classrooms. That was done in 1989. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. And that was a $1.1 million project that the foundation took on. The renovation of the patio was a huge success, and that was brought about through a matching challenge that Don Anderson put before us, and he matched us dollar for dollar, and we were able to take the chain link fencing off the rocket and make it more presentable and expand the courtyard. Year to year, one of our main focuses, and probably the majority of our budget that goes directly to the museum, supports the Second Saturday program, which is a free art hands-on program for children in Roswell. The Roswell Science and Art Festival is another recent success.
Yep.
So going back from '89 to last weekend, was the Science Festival, and we're always happy to support that, and glad to see all the children out having fun.
Certainly.
And of course, it's a free event to everybody in the community.
And I know the city just updated a master plan for some improvements in the museum. You guys were involved in all those conversations as well too, and I think that we're getting ready to at least start the phase 1 with the entrance and the I think movement of the store up toward the front.
We're really looking forward to
and
that.
the exciting parts are in these future phases with the children's area. The renewal of the Goddard exhibit, I believe, as well too, and so
Yes.
you guys being established and everything have done some fantastic things. I think the 1989 edition on there is a concept that I know that other city leaders have wanted to mirror with increasing activity as well too, because it takes us all to kind of help build that
together and work
area, and
together.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
And
wonderful.
we've always partnered with the city
Yep.
on a lot of the capital improvement
Yep.
projects.
And that's really good. And you've been helping us through, I think since COVID, since a lot of stuff that doesn't function the same way, you've been holding some pieces together to keep a lot of that programming out there in order to keep bringing the individuals in as well
Yeah,
too.
we have done our best to increase our budget
Yep.
as other areas are tighter.
Yeah.
And so we will continue to do that as long as we're able to.
Yeah, okay. Carrie, some of the recent successes, I think you mentioned one earlier, but
Yeah, so again, being able to help with the mountain lion exhibit or the big cat, sorry. It's the mountain lion. Brett loves his habitat. Was exciting to be able to do. We've also helped with the longhorn pen. We've been fortunate enough, we brought in some, well, the capybaras were a private donor.
Donation, yeah.
But we had the jumping, not the kangaroos,
wallabies,
the wallabies, there you go.
you're welcome.
And then the new one, which I don't know, can I give away the new one? We got 2 little kinkadoos, and they're so cute and cuddly, and one nibbles. Not that I know this personally. So those will be coming out pretty soon. We're, like I said, we're working on trying to get enough money to help with the bear exhibit. There's a lot. There's so much work that we have to do. The zoo is an aging, I want to say infrastructure, but it's not really an infrastructure. I mean, it's just an aging facility that hasn't had a whole lot of funds put into it to bring it up to date. And so, again, it takes time, and it's just starting at one place, getting enough money to just set that up, and then moving on to the next one. It's little changes that have been done throughout. We were looking at trying to help get the carousel brought back up and get it restored. But right now there's so much controversy, uncertainties within the council that we're not sure where things are going to stay. And since we're a zoo foundation, everything that we do has to stay within the zoo. So if some of those assets get moved out of the zoo, then we have to change our priorities. We were, like 3 months ago, we were looking at doing a major restoration on the carousel and getting that brought back up. But hopefully things will get worked out and we know where we're going and what we're doing, and we can keep holding our events and one exhibit at a time.
Yep. And I would I'll share that. Stay the course. Everything works its way out as well too. I think one of the things and bringing back that overly loved facility from where it was, doing the master plan in the last 5 years and such. I think one of the things that I was told about last week, we had a USDA inspection. And that USDA inspection came back as an A++. At least that's the way it was described to me, which meant that the things that we are changing, we're changing for the long term. It's not short-term changes; they're changing for the long term. So it's slow going now because we're behind that 8 ball as far as we are, but the movements that we are making, the decisions that are getting made are helping with that. And I think that's the challenge we have with a younger Friends of the Spring River Zoo group trying to rebuild their foundation as well too, as opposed to our stable, longer term library and museum foundations. And I will say that there's something to be learned out of working with each other as well too on understanding the pitfalls or the challenges that we go through. And so thank you, Carrie. Adrienne, I'm not going to let you get off a little bit. I know that a lot of the work that's been happening over in the library, we've got an aged building, had some roof issues, we had some damage with some stuff. We had to get that cleaned up. That happened it started right after or right around the COVID timeframe. And I think that's where what you've described with the programming being the most important part. And I know that the library started up a hotspot program where you can actually rent the hotspots and go out and actually get internet access anywhere in the city through that hotspot as well too. And I know we keep working on that stuff, but yeah, I think that's the big thing for the library is that programming has been very important to pull us through what that sense of place is for the library and what it does for our people that need to utilize those services and such. Let me ask another question. What fundraising events do the foundations hold? We talked a little bit about some of them that came up, but is there any more that we would like to add? Cindy, we'll start with the museum. And what type of fundraising events do you have?
Normally we have well, it used to be every spring we would have a fundraiser. And then with the COVID shutdown, that kind of threw us into the fall. So we just wrapped up our annual fundraiser September 17th. We had it here at the Convention Center. I think it was a very successful event. I think everybody enjoyed themselves, and we were real pleased with the way it turned out. We also do an annual appeal at the end of every year, and we receive a good amount of money from that. And we started last year with the help of the staff because they are key in the holiday artisan market. And it's a great event. It allows local artists and regional artists to showcase their work, to give them a space to sell their work. And we have an opening night where we sell tickets, and we do make some money from that holiday artisan market event. That the staff is key in helping us with that.
Certainly.
But those are our three major focuses each
Okay.
year. And then, of course, bequests are always important. We don't always want to see those coming, but they're essential in building the core of the foundation.
Yeah. And we have so many wonderful people in this community that have supported any one of these
We do,
foundations
we
as
do.
well
We
over the years.
actually had a gentleman, he was a director of the Roswell Museum, probably in the 50s. His name was Thomas Messer, and he went on to become the director of the Guggenheim in New York, and he was the director there from 61 to 88. And when he passed a few years back, he left a bequest to the Roswell Museum. So, we touched a part of him
Yes,
that he would remember us after all those years.
that's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Yep. Carrie, what type of fundraising events does Friends of the Spring River Zoo hold?
Well, we've had many different kinds of fundraising events over the past years. There's some that we have turned over and let the zoo handle now. So some of the great ones, like coming up is the Night of the Living Zoo. That originally started as a Friends event, but it took a lot of city staff and a lot of zoo staff to help hold that one. So it just kind of seemed natural to kind of let the zoo take that one over. And last year's event was phenomenal with them holding it. So I expect nothing less this year, John. And then like our memberships, that used to be part of our fundraising, but we turned that over to the city. So that way it could be part of the package plan, I guess, on how the city sells their memberships and stuff. So we don't do that. So right now we're focused basically on our 2 brew events. We have one in the spring and we're supposed to have one in the fall. And the fall one is my favorite. I kid you not, I love Oktoberfest. It makes me sad that we didn't have it. So now we're looking forward to Brew at the Zoo in April. And we've also done a golf tournament, Friends Gone Wild, Zoo Gone, what the heck was it called?
Okay.
Friend- Yeah, we all went wild. There was a lot of things going on. There was some shenanigans. And I'm hoping that we'll have that one again this year. We just haven't quite decided if we're gonna go that way. And then we've also done Zoo Pals. And that's where a member of the community can donate money to a specific animal or enclosure, and that money goes to the feed or the upkeep or whatever that animal enclosure needs, and has, in the past, has gotten a little plaque on it. There's so many changes happening at the zoo right now. We're not quite sure where some things are where they used to be in the past. But once we get it worked out, we'll let you know.
All right. Adrienne, what type of fundraising events?
So the Roswell Library Foundation doesn't, we do an annual appeal and a campaign. I don't know that we did one last year, but we usually do that.
Right.
But like I was saying earlier, there's other organizations that support the library, like the Friends of the Roswell Library, which is not a part of the foundation, but again, they support the library, which in turn helps us do our
Yes.
job.
Yes.
And, they have the secondhand bookstore over there, right over here downtown, or right outside of downtown. And, so that is an ongoing flow of support that the library relies on. Like I said, the foundation, it's more of a managing assets and making prudent investments and things like that for us, that in our annual campaign, that really, we don't have any glamorous events like these 2 groups do. But like I said, we do fundraising. We appreciate all the support that we get.
Yeah. And I believe that in the last year, I'll just keep it at the last year, the foundation actually donated a building on Richardson Street to the city, and we're in the process of selling it. Essentially, all those proceeds from that sale will go to help the library. That was part of the reason for the donation, right? And I think those are just as important. Maybe not like a brew at the zoo, right?
Like I said, it's
but
not as,
that building will have a big benefit to, I think, the library for that service. And I know that we had one donor donate a home that we're still working on selling that home as well too. And those funds come into the library as well too. So
right.
I think it's good to note those differences between all those different structures that we have in order to have people support, have people assist, have people all do that if it's important to them. So, yeah.
No, you're right. Our source of fundraising looks very different.
Yeah.
Than it's not as fun. It's not as fun on the outside to
Oh,
attend.
I don't know, I'm sitting here thinking, what can we do? We need some beer, wine, spirits for the library. We could do ghost tales and have spirits.
We can
See,
do
we got
it.
you.
That sounds fun. Do a little group event. Help us all out.
Right.
But I think it's you downplay it a little bit, but the importance of the library and the functioning of that, teaching children to read, teaching all those pieces are very important within that. All of this, all these services are truly enrichment services, and we coined that phrase back about 5 years ago. We use quality of life quite a bit too, right? And I think quality of life gets used a lot, but when you look at the city services and everything, truly what each one of you are helping us support are those enrichment services that make the city better than what it is. I mean, everybody has a police department, everybody has a fire department, everybody has streets with potholes in it. I'm just saying that because we have potholes in our streets. But the whole thing is that these enrichment services are what set us apart. And I will say that each one of these facilities are well known, well recognized for what we're providing. And so what you're doing as the foundation remains very, very important. Another question about fundraising. So we talked about the events, but I'm assuming you never close down if somebody wishes to support. I mean, we talked about bequeaths and we talked about donations. We talked about those different things. I'm assuming we can do those at any point in time. What's the best way if they believe that? We'll start with Carrie down there with the zoo. What's the best way for those individuals to participate with the foundation for that mission that you guys have?
Come to a meeting. Get involved. We look for volunteers for the brew events because it takes a lot of hands on the ground to get it established and set for the day, and then the cleanup on it. It's really not hard. Reach out to any of the board members. I mean, we take pretty much anybody with open arms to try to help get the events going and established. It's just that simple. Just come on.
Adrienne, what on the library? How do people get involved?
It's same. It's as easy as, like the library on Facebook, see what's going on. We have programs for all ages, which means we need volunteers for all ages. It's not necessarily a financial commitment. It's bodies, it's people, it's just we just need help with those programs. And like I said, I think Facebook, we have a really, we update Facebook on a regular basis, and that's a great way to learn what's going on, and then also to figure out how you would like to become involved. There's a lot of options available. Or with once again the used bookstore. I mean, drop off your old books, drop off your old whatever kind of media that you're not watching or reading anymore, and help us out there.
Yeah. Okay, Cindy?
Well, we do have, the Roswell Museum has a web page. We do not have a website for the foundation, but we do have a page within the museum's website. So you can go to the foundation, roswellmuseum.org, click on the about the foundation. You can find all my contact information. If you just have questions about the foundation, if you're interested in becoming a board member, or if you'd just like to make a donation. One thing I will say is the foundation does not take donations of artwork. All those donations go directly to the museum and are handled by the museum staff and the Board of Trustees, which is a separate board appointed by the City of Roswell. We just take monetary donations. The museum has a Facebook page as well. It's very active. Currently it's being run by Erica Intrip, who we have, the foundation is paying through a short-term contract until hopefully we can get that position reinstated at the museum. We've funded it for a few more months, but that's about all we're going to be able to do. So those are the ways to get in touch with us.
And I think the common thread for those of you that are watching and listening in on this is that it is very easy to become a part of our success and what we are trying to accomplish. It goes all the way from if you want to put your name out there as an elected official, there's a process that goes through that. A board member through the city, an employee with the city, and then the giving of our citizenry within the foundations and everything else. If you can't give up a lot of time or a lot of money, that's okay, because it all adds up over time when we have the community support, when we have everything kind of connected to that. And so I think it's what I'm hoping what everybody hears a little bit of is that it is very easy to get started, and it is very easy to give what you can at the time, and then we work our way from that. And I think that's what I want to make sure that some of our citizens understand, that it makes the community better. It makes our community our home as well, with everything that you guys are doing. And so,
And for the most part, it's about an hour a month. And then there's some months you just don't meet because there's nothing going on. But it's not a huge commitment of time that you have to do to get involved and be on any of these organizations. So yeah, it's easy. We just need a little warm bodies to sit in the chairs.
yeah. Before we go to maybe some final comments from everybody about the foundations and everything, I know we have a few people in the room. We didn't actually get a lot of questions online for SurveyMonkey for this forum, but if there's any questions from anybody from in the room that we can ask our foundation members, I'd be happy to open that up if you have them. I'll repeat the question. You don't have to work that hard either as well too, so you don't have to come up and get involved up there. But are there any questions from anybody in the room? Anything that anybody would like to add? All right, so the question is, or the comment is, what is the most pressing need that you have for your foundation at this time? Where am I at with my count? Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll do it.
All right.
I think for Friends of the Zoo, the most pressing need is, again, we need volunteers, we need board members. And then we really don't have a problem getting people to come to our events, because our events are extremely fun and everybody looks forward to them. But we also, I would love some endowments. Honestly, it would be fantastic if we had a base that we could just work off of. That would be a huge benefit for the zoo.
Certainly. Okay. Adrienne?
I would say that one of the things that is on a lot of our foundation board members' minds is the upcoming election for the bond. It's not an increase in taxes, but it would provide almost $200,000 to the Roswell Library. So it's kind of an answer to your question, but also, like I said, it's what a lot of our board members are thinking about, because it's a very fine line of how to advocate for that. So personally, that's what is a pressing issue for me with the library.
Yeah, and what's the number on that bond? It's called a GEO bond. What's the number on that?
2.
2. So every other year, the state legislature renews these GEO bonds that go to support higher ed, goes to support the library systems, the school systems, and everything. And so, what Adrienne mentions as well too, it's not a tax increase; it's just a reinstitution of what was already being paid. The GEO bonds just wear out, and then they have to be renewed. And that's a really good system within New Mexico, that you're going back to the people saying, is this still important to you in order to support? So I think that's a good point to talk about, is that this is where a lot of that legislative funding comes from for the state to assist with the libraries, with the schools. And so it becomes a very important decision for everybody to make. So,
Right.
Yeah. Cindy?
Well, I wish I had a bond, but I don't. There are so many needs, coming. We keep going back. I hate to look at the past and say, oh, but what if COVID hadn't happened? But right now, our museum is struggling. with their staffing levels, we've had to increase the amount of funding going to the museum. When I first started in 2008, we were doing very well to provide about $30,000 a year to the museum, and our total annual budget was under $100,000. This year, the amount of money that we have going to support the museum is over $100,000, and a lot of it in the past has gone just to free programming, mainly children-based activities to help those that are underserved in our community. But now we're paying for supplies, and we're paying for some contract labor, and so it's going to different things, different avenues, and not the programs and exhibitions that it has in the past. So I would guess that would be our biggest challenge, and I think that's in this economy, it's a lot of people's challenges.
Yeah.
So that's understandable, but we're looking forward to better times.
Yep. Wonderful. We have time for some final comments. If anybody wants to talk to the citizens of Roswell about anything that's going on within the foundation, just a reminders of anything, I'm going to put you all on the spot. And Adriana, I get to start with you in the middle this time. And I think we talked a lot today about get involved, help us, help everybody. We talked about the importance of each one of these services. So I think I think what else should we remind everybody for the Library Foundation and the support that you're bringing to our services?
I think one of the big things about the library, the Roswell Library, is that it's not just a building full of books. There are programs, there are opportunities to learn, to teach, to interact, and I want the people of Roswell to be aware that there's so much going on, whether it's for you, your children, your grandchildren, whoever, to come and utilize the library and come enjoy these programs and the new displays and the new interactive things that we have going on. It's, utilizing our assets is just as important as actually financially supporting them. Because if nobody's using them, what are we here for? We want people to come take advantage of all of the things we have to offer.
Yeah, thank you. Cindy?
You might have to repeat the question.
Yeah, the question, of course, is that what we've talked about a lot of different things to be involved in and all of that. We've talked about our funding. We've talked about a lot of different projects and everything. What would we like to leave with our citizens as those final thoughts about what the Museum Foundation is doing and where they can help?
Well, the main goal of the Museum Foundation is to support the Roswell Museum, to make it a better place for our community, and to bring in everybody in our community. I've been told in the past that we're like a little art clique. We're not. We welcome everybody. We want everybody to come and see what the museum has to offer. There's something for everybody, from the planetarium to the Goddard Workshop to the West and Beyond, the Rogers and Mary Ellen Aston collection, the contemporary art, the Peter Hurd and Henriette Wyeth collection, and then the classrooms, the clay. Aria Finch has done a fabulous job with the clay studio, and how many kids. I still have the clay sculptures that my children made.
Yep.
And I won't tell you how old they are now, but they don't live here in Roswell anymore. So, everybody has one of those sculptures probably if you ever took your child to the Roswell Museum. My grandchildren come, and we have an itinerary that we have to do every year when they come. They spend 2 weeks. We have to go to the zoo, we have to go to the library, and we have to go to the museum. And that's not me saying this is what we have to do. That's them telling me, Mom, this is what we're, Granny, this is what we're going to do today. It's just it takes everybody in the community to make a community strong.
Yeah.
And anybody who would like to help, we would love to sit down and talk to you and tell you more about our foundation and our museum.
Thank you, Cindy. Carrie?
So, all three of us, we are definitely quality of life organizations. We don't have to have any of us for the city to maintain itself. And for our citizens to survive. But for a community to grow and be the best that they can be, we need to keep our youth here. We need educated citizens. Otherwise, we become stagnant and we start dying out. And so far, we've held on, and our community has maintained our population. But if we didn't, we'd be Vaughn. I mean, the quality of life organizations is what keeps some people here. It's what will bring the doctors and have them stay because they have something else to do and they won't look for another community. We have to support these organizations. It's a fine line when it comes to using taxpayer dollars to do it versus community dollars. And everybody now has a magic they need to take care of it. Well, the they is we. We, me, you, we all need to work together to make Roswell better. And part of that is supporting these organizations, getting involved in them, seeing what you want to see happen from this program. What do you want to see at the zoo? How do you want to see it grow? Be a voice. Be part of it. Come join us. We listen. Everybody in these organizations listen. And we want input because we want our community better. This is why we volunteer our time. I can go on the deep end on this one. We have to do better. We have to be better. We have to make Roswell better. And we need you. We need you guys to be involved in this.
All right, thank you. I do want to say for the city of Roswell, our staff, our elected officials, everybody, thank you for your guys' support. Thank you for what you do to make Roswell better. I will leave this with, I can't imagine the city of Roswell without any one of these services. It would not be the same community. It would not be the same structure. And so I know we go through a lot of different challenges with funding. We go through a lot of different challenges with emergencies or these issues like the pandemic and everything. But this would not be Roswell if any of these services were not here. And I think the whole thing is that we build off of each other. We have such a strong arts and culture community here with the Anderson Museum, with the UFO Museum, with all these different museums, the miniature museum, and all these different museums are out there. And I'll forget one, and I don't mean to do that, but it is very important. And I say that we've got that whole community for the library, all those individuals that lean on that service in order to make it through, get their next job, get any of those things that are happening with them, education and such like that. And then of course the zoo with the education of the animals and all of that different thing. I just can't imagine a Roswell without any one of these services. And I want to make sure that everybody understands it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. And get started, find your niche, find your involvement, and it will help build everything that we do. So again, ladies, thank you so much for helping share your vision, your mission for your foundations. Thank you for what you do for the community of Roswell. Thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for coming. And so at that, I will just, okay. When and where do all the organizations meet? All right. Follow-up question.
I can tell you, the foundation meets the second Tuesday of each month at 4 o'clock. We generally hold our meetings in the Patricia Bassett Auditorium. We do not meet during the summer months from June through August. However, we do have numerous committee meetings during those months, especially when we're working on a fall fundraiser. And then I also want to add, thank you for having us here.
Yes.
And thank you for the city's support. The foundation could not afford the museum without the city's support, and we've always been glad to partner with you on any improvements, and we look forward to a bright, bright future.
Yeah, thank you. Adrienne?
We traditionally meet in January, and sometimes, again, throughout the year, just as needed, or sometimes we don't meet until December. It just kind of depends. We don't have a monthly meeting. Like I said, we meet quarterly if needed. We do a lot of emailing and phone calling, but our meetings are not as established as the Roswell, as the museum foundation.
All right. Carrie?
So Friends of the Spring River Zoo meets the fourth Thursday of every month at 6 o'clock at the zoo in the party room. Is that what we call it, the party room? Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have a website, friendsofthespringriverzoo.org, and you can get more information there.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. Again, thank you to everybody for tuning in for this public forum on our foundations and the importance of those foundations. We will be putting out information soon for next month's forum, which will be on public safety. And so thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great evening. Thank you again, ladies. I much appreciated.